Hey everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel God Will Do It For You. My name is Steven. I hope everyone's having a great day so far. And what we're going to be talking about today is when you're starting to feel weary. Especially with the way everything's going on in the world, a lot of people are having to work 2 jobs. A lot of people are really grinding out exactly what it's going to take in order to stay afloat in today's age. A lot of people are starting to realize that the Bible is actually correct when it says man can take away exactly what they give, but what God gives you, he's not going to just snatch it away from you like what's happening to some people's jobs out here. Again, this is why don't think that everything's all secure just because you went to college or you went along this route, because you never know what's going to happen in life. That now you have to pivot. Now you have to start thinking, okay, what's next? And one thing I do know is that God is the source and he will provide the resource. So a lot of Christian folk that are experiencing these dramatic layoffs and things of that nature, they're not talking that talk. They're not talking that talk. They're like, this is bull. This is crazy. Whatever the case may be. But one thing I've learned is that this is where God gets to show you exactly what he could do for you. This is where God allows you to experience him. He may end up with a lot of these people in positions that are more suited for them, that they can have a more dramatic impact towards the kingdom of God, whatever the case may be. We just have to see things through. But I'm going to start off in the Bible in Isaiah chapter 29, or chapter 40, verse 29. And it states, he gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might he increases strength. Even youths shall faint and be weary, and young men shall fall exhausted. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. This is where it all comes back to your prayer closet and really confiding into God exactly what's on your heart. Because man, oh man, I've been going through it. I come on these videos, I give y'all all the energy that I give is nice and authentic. And as I go about my day to day, as I go about the week, as I keep grinding at this extreme pace, my body is like, how much longer do you think you can keep this up? And then the spiritual warfare is, it's ramping up as well. I'm having really strange dreams, which I've kind of gotten a handle on that because all the dreams were happening at a particular time and I just already knew what to do. Plus, the dreams are really evil. And the things that were happening in the dreams, and it will get me to wake up in a funk that kind of set my day off at a really bad start. And at first I was thinking, man, my heart and my soul is crying out for the things that I desire. But then the dream started to twit. I was like, this has the enemy written all over it. Again, the enemy will do whatever he has to do to try to break you down, to prevent you from moving forward and whatever it is that you desire to do, whatever God's will is for your life, your goals, whatever the case may be, marriage, whatever it is, the enemy, when he starts to see one thing isn't working, he attacks in another direction. And then as you elevate, new levels, new devils. This is also why we're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 25. And it says, for I will satisfy the weary soul, and every languishing soul I will replenish. So the weary soul is the tired soul. The languishing soul is the weak soul. Like you feel like you can't go on much longer. And that's why he says, I will replenish. So that means he's going to fill you back up spiritually. So that way you don't feel so weak, so incapable. But also for you to know that your source is God. That he can replenish it. He can also satisfy a weary soul, meaning make you feel good about exactly what you're doing, to understand, hey, I'm tired, yes, but the reason is because of this. I kid you not. I haven't had a day off. I start thinking about it, and it deep inside, it makes me feel a little sad, a little crappy, because I'm like, man, did I really set my life up like this to be in this predicament? And I'm like, man, I haven't had a day off since Christmas, and that was only because everything was closed. Otherwise, it's really grind. We need money. It's every day. And I'm like, this is crazy. I can't keep doing this, And I know we're not to give God a timestamp on what we want and desire in life because it's his timing. And I definitely understand that. But I am also very concerned about my mental and my physical. And I just know it's not a normal thing for someone not to be able to have a day off. That's not normal. And for me to take a day off, though, if I were to take one day off a week, I would lose a good chunk of money. And so for me, it's like, well, lose this and now the household is more tight, or do it, but now you're wore out. It's really hard. And that's why I'm really pushing to be like, hey, you know what? We got to stay intentional towards these goals. We got to push out the results, things of that nature. So that way I can get to that point in my life where it doesn't hurt me to take a day off. If anything, it's like you're going to have it because now your output is pulling back results, which is fruit. So you can take a day off. But this is where I'm leaning really on God for, because I'm like, God, I'm doing the best that I can. I'm literally, like, even making this video, my head is just like, I'm so tired. And I'm getting plenty of sleep. That's the crazy thing. I'm getting enough sleep because I'm making sure that I'm going to bed on time. I'm making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do with my son. I'm making sure household chores get done. But when I start thinking about it, I'm like, man, because my son, he felt so bad. He felt so bad for me. Like, we went to the park this Saturday, and he saw me falling asleep all over the place, and he was like, Dad, if you're tired, we could go back home. And I was like, no, you're okay. And I had to think about everything that I had did, and I was like, man, I got up at 5 a.m, cooked breakfast, went out to work, come home, cut your hair, we going to the park now, then I had to come back, cook dinner, clean up, get on the computer, so that way I can make progress towards goals. There's no time for TV. There's no time for nothing. Sunday, same thing. Wake up, 5 a.m, cook breakfast, go out work, come back home at 12. Literally, laundromat, clean, took hours to clean, went to the gym, had to cook dinner. Literally, at the end of the day, computer, working on ideas towards the food business, music. By that time, it's literally 10:20 p.m. Now it's time for bed. And I'm like, I've been doing this every day for almost, I think this June would be 2 years. Just going at it this way. And I'm just like, you know what, God? I don't want to give up. I am really giving my all, but I am doing way too much. And I don't have much room to delegate because there's no help, no physical help. So I'm just like, God, I need your help. I am tired. I feel myself wiping out. I feel myself like, hey, what can we do to try to make improvements? What can we do to increase the results? What can we do to get more money in the house? Because now I just came from a dental appointment with my son, and they're like, hey, his teeth are growing at an angle that's literally facing his back adult tooth. And so now we have to go to an orthodontist, and they're like, he's gonna need braces because they're gonna have to pull that tooth down and this and that. So I'm like, all right, more money. And I'm just like, you know what, God, I had to literally pray about this prayer of Jeremiah, for I will satisfy the weary soul, and every languishing soul I will replenish. Because I was like, God, this is your word, and I am growing very weary. Because I'm like, I see what you're doing in my life. I am very thankful. If I were to tell y'all every single thing, it seemed like I'm bragging, but I see the things that he is doing to keep me afloat. I see it. But I'm just like, when are we going to get to a point where we can start to alleviate some of these concerns? Because I'm only human. I'm not a robot. I'm only human. I'm not a robot. And this is where prayer is so important. It's so pivotal in our lives, because that's where God is really pushing us to the test to see, what are you going to do when you feel like this? Are you going to drink? Are you going to do unhealthy things to cope with exactly what you're feeling? Are you even going to come to me about what you're feeling? And this is where I feel like God is paying attention to us the most, is to see how we're going to respond in the face of our troubles. Because one thing that this world has shown us is that nothing is guaranteed based off of what this world does. The only thing that's guaranteed is what God says he's going to do in his word. And so this is where I start calling him out on his word. I said, God, your word says this. I need your help. And I have no pride issues asking God for help, because I'm like, God, heck, I need help. Like, this is getting a little ridiculous. It's getting out of control as far as like the amount that I have to work by myself and things of that nature. And yes, inside I'm like, I look in the mirror and I'm saying, well, we're only here in life because of decisions that we've made. And you chose a route where there is no roadmap towards actual success. You gotta excuse this truck, it's backing up. There's no roadmap. So when you put your heart and your trust into God, that's exactly what you committed to doing. Because now I'm like, if I choose to just stop everything, like flick the food business, flick the music, and just go back to college, we're talking another 3.5 years. I'll be 37, heading on 38 years old. And it's to the point now where I'm like, hey, it's just, I would feel like a total failure. Just put it that way. I feel like a total failure, even though that's not the case. There's plenty of people that go back to school in their 30s and things of that nature. But just internally, the amount of work that I've put into these things, I would have to just be like, hey, you know what? I gave it my best. I'm going to have to go back to Georgia, go back home, and just literally reset life. And that's just something that I can't do at this point. It's now or never. I got to keep pushing forward. And this is where I'm like, you know, God, I'm moving forward in faith. I see what you're doing for us. I appreciate it. But money is a big question mark. And yes, we got everything we need. I went grocery shopping today, worked this morning, got my son to his appointment. It never stops. But this is where I'm like, hey, I got to dig deep more than ever. My biggest motivator, more than God, is my son. And the fact that he looks at me and he sees when I'm tired, even though I've tried my best not to look a certain way around him or things of that nature. But he could just see it. He's to the point now where he's not stupid. He sees that I'm wore out. He sees that, you know, he sees when I feel like I look lonely. He sees it because he's paying attention. And this is like, well, God, help me to show him that he's putting his faith into the right person. I just want to be a great example for my son. I want to show him that things are impossible. They are possible. But it's going to take hard work, dedication, a drive, the desire, and most importantly, a very, very, very strong faith in God in order for you to get to where you have to go or what you desire to go to. And that's why I made this video, because when I prayed on it and I was just thinking about it, instantly the message was like, no, tell them what you're feeling. Because there's plenty of people out here that they're having to do the same thing. They're working 2-3 jobs. They still ain't making enough. You know, they barely have enough money to get food in their household. They barely have enough money to get gas. I mean, these people are struggling, man. It's not good. This Asian kid walked up to me just randomly in the store. Never experienced anything like that in my life. He was just sitting there. And then he was like, you know what? I'm struggling. And it shocked me to just, he didn't even know me. He just out there just started telling his business. And I could tell he just needs somebody to talk to. And so I stood there and I listened to him. He was like, I got $45 to my name. And he said, the only reason I had this is because I went to my bank account and I withdrew $60. I overdrafted my account. I was surprised it came out, but thank God I was able to put $15 in my car for gas. And this other $45, I'm going to figure it out from there. And it just hurts my heart Because I'm like, I wish there's something I could do to help you, man. But there's barely, heck, I got it. It's God gives enough to make sure that you can get to the next day. That's what I'm learning. When you're on this walk with God, that the times that he gives you surplus is because you're going to need it in the future. The times that you're just getting enough to get to the next day is because you got work to do. You need to be working towards your goals. He does not want you to get so comfortable that you just accept where you are. So it's like he's controlling what's going on so that way you can keep moving forward. Because if you get satisfied and comfortable and complacent just staying where you are, you'll never move forward with your goals. You'll never move forward spiritually. You'll never move forward, period. That's why, like the Israelites, and when they were in the desert, he said, only grab enough manna to last a day. If you try to grab some more that will last more than a day, it will go bad. Because he didn't want them to get so comfortable with that food that they're like, you know what, we can just live off this. We don't never got to spend any more money. No. If you feel weary inside, just know you're not alone. There's plenty of people around you going through the same thing. However they express it or put it out into the world is on them. But one thing that we have to remember is that we have to stay humble. We have to stay dedicated to God. And the strongest of the strong are the ones that he's going to use to push out exactly what he needs to do to lead more people to him or to lead his people. Only the strongest of the strong. So when we look at, man, they seem so blessed. You don't know what that person's been through. You really don't. The strongest of the strong. God is not in the business for waking weak-minded Christian soldiers. He understands that we have spiritual warfare, but he also allows it. He allows it to test us, to see how we're going to respond to it. See if we know what to do, because again, new levels, new devils. So just know that we serve a God that is gracious enough to give us access to him through prayer, and also gifted us with the Holy Spirit, someone that we have right by us, here and now, that can help guide you and encourage you and keep you moving forward in faith towards God's will for your life. So, as even I am going to keep doing, I'm going to keep my prayer going. I'm going to try to figure out how to sneak some sleep in wherever I can and just recuperate, because, man, I am wore out. And I'm like, if summer is like how it was these last 2 years, I don't know if I can do this. I'm like, I don't know how it's going to be possible. This is going to be very hard. But this is where faith comes in. And say, you know what, God, you know what's coming ahead. You know the end from the beginning. I just need to keep moving forward in faith. Take it one day at a time. And we shall see. So, I hope this video has been a blessing. If you feel it, like, share, subscribe, definitely do so. Otherwise, I'll keep you all updated. And until next time, see you Wednesday.